Hey everybody, Christine here from Tribe. Happy holidays. We hope you're enjoying this holiday season. And we know sometimes the holidays can be a bit tough for people. I think there's a kind of a collective feeling in the air of kind of overwhelm and sometimes tension and at least for some a little bit of depression, holiday blues. But also I think next to that collectively is a lot of kind of cheer, if you will, and joy and connection. So I know for me, I've been feeling a bit of both of those as the holiday season arrives. And I tend to make sure I really stay close to my morning practice, during these times. So, we know that a lot of people might travel during the holiday season, and it might be nice to just kind of reconnect to a morning practice, even if you take 5 to 10 minutes in the morning before you get up, kind of head into greet the family. So I wanted to share a little bit about a morning practice I've been using lately. And for me, morning ritual is kind of a creative process that changes depending on what my being, what my psyche, what my body needs. And so right now, as I've noticed, my mind's been quite busy lately. I have incorporated a morning writing practice into my meditation. So I have been beginning with generally about 10 minutes of writing. You're welcome. As you take these practices on, the idea is to make them your own and to do what fits you. So if 2 minutes is better, or 5 minutes, or to go until you feel done without a timer, that's, of course, absolutely acceptable and welcome. So what I do is I just put on a timer for 10 minutes and I just let the pen go and I do a flow of consciousness. And I just see what wants to come through. And when I'm complete with that, I don't reread it. I then sit and do some breath work. And I start by just taking some really deep, full breaths, kind of a handful for about 30 seconds to a minute of deeper, kind of maybe faster breaths, removing the gap between my inhale and exhale. So it sounds a little bit like this. And I do that just to kind of move a little bit of that stagnant energy that's come up through the evening or from overnight, and that might still be sitting with me this morning, and just to also help kind of move any of the energy that came up from the writing. And then I move into kind of more of a balancing breath. And some people call it square breathing. So I usually use the count of 5. You're welcome to use 4, 3, 6, whatever works for you. So I inhale for 5 seconds, hold for 5 seconds, exhale for 5, and hold out for 5. And I do that breath generally for about 2 minutes. And again, these are, when I mention a time, it's really for you to find what works for you. But generally I find 2 minutes really allows me to settle into the breath and it allows it to have an effect. And then I also do a third breath, and I just do several, kind of a handful of these breaths where it's a deep inhale through the nose and a long, slow exhale like I'm blowing through a small straw through the mouth. This really kind of calms my nervous system. It feels like it really prepares me to move into a silent meditation. And then following that, I start a timer for 15 to 20 minutes of meditation. Sometimes I put, gentle music on in the background. Sometimes I do it in silence. And, that's been my practice as of late. It feels like it's really complementary to what's been going on in my mind lately in terms of allowing it to kind of slow down a bit. Of course, there's so many different ways to incorporate morning practice and ritual. I then have been working with a book, which was our monthly book recommendation on the Tribe Facebook page. It's by Mark Nepo, a beautiful author and poet, and it's called The Endless Practice. And I usually read a page or two in there. It's just deeply inspiring and deeply rich. I find that just with a couple of pages, I get a lot of information to kind of sit with. And then I might spend a little more time sitting with whatever I've read. I've been experimenting with really different kind of meditation times, and I think any time is beneficial. 2 minutes of breathing and calming the system to allow us to move more deeply into presence is beautiful. In terms of a kind of a deeper meditation practice, I've noticed that if I sit for at least 20 minutes, I really, have much more of a deeper experience with the meditation process than if I sit for 10. I feel like my mind and body take about 10 to 12 minutes to even settle into the practice, into the space. So just some tips for morning practice right now. Again, if you're traveling and maybe you don't have access to writing, at least just maybe beginning with a minute of square breath, and then putting, a piece of music on, or just doing it in silence for 5 minutes certainly can help, create a template for presence for the day, at least for the morning. And of course, we have this ability to stop and access these practices in a really simple way throughout our day if we find ourselves kind of getting worked up or anxious. So again, happy holiday season to you all. We hope you enjoy, and please feel free to leave us any feedback or comments on anything you'd like to discuss. Thanks so much.